We covered too much fanfare, in some cases much criticism, Trump's bonkers speech in front of generals. And it was shameful. What he said, talking about the enemy from within and generals need to go to war with them, and what Hegseth did, hopping up there and doing essentially in words what he did in this post. The Secretary of Defense, or as he calls himself, the Secretary of War, literally posted this meme or this political cartoon, which is showing him kicking out what is supposed to look like sort of a trans, like, you know, oh, it's someone dressing as a woman, but they have a mustache, like they're archetypical, insane trans, like that kind of vibe. With a pride flag, with a woke culture basket, and DEI military. The president's defense secretary or war secretary is posting that. And again, we've looked at testimony publicly and privately from people in the military just like, what are we doing? And I'm sure some of them love it. I know there's MAGAs for sure, but a lot of people were shocked, including it seemed the generals. And I just came across an anecdote about what the generals were doing with their notes while Trump spoke. And that's what I want to play for you. But first, in case you missed it, let me just give you a little picture, okay? Because this was fascinating to me. Because I was wondering, what were the generals doing during the speech? Just sitting there? Don't move. If we don't move and if we don't make any noise, maybe he won't notice us or get mad. But were they note-taking? And that's the part that I want to tell you. But imagine, so that you have the background, that this is what the most admirable, incredible people in our country, serving our country for years and highest ranks in the military, were having to watch their commander-in-chief say. Stuff like,
when we go with the word war, and we want war because we want to have no wars, but you have to be there, and sometimes you have to do it.
we want war because we want to have no wars, but you have to be there, and sometimes you have to do it. Yeah. I mean, you just do sometimes. Never truer words spoken. That sometimes you want war, but because you can't do it, because you see it, because you know it, it's just sort of, it's a little bit emotional, And then there was this.
Now we are discovering American muscle, reasserting American might, and beginning the next story chapter in American military legends and lore. That's L-O-R-E. It is lore.
So didn't know the word lore. Generals and admirals who have seen things we couldn't imagine, who know things we couldn't imagine. And their boss, technically, is up there going, lore, L-O. It's like you're at a kid's science presentation. You're like, oh gosh, little Jimmy doesn't know the word lore. I should have prepped him on that when we were making his little fold-out board about with the volcano. I should have told him lore is a normal. But he's the president. And then I'm just refreshing your memory. Then we'll look at this newest revelation.
I love tariffs. Most beautiful word. But I'm not allowed to say that anymore. I said tariff is my favorite word. I love the word tariff. We're becoming rich as hell.
What relevance is this to our top military leaders? And then I don't know if I can play all this for you, but
to use an old term, I think we should maybe start thinking about battleships, by the way. We had the Secretary of the Navy came to me because I look at the Iowa out in California, and I look at different ships and the old pictures. I used to watch Victory at Sea. I love Victory at Sea. Look at these admirals. It's got to be your all-time in black and white. When I look at those ships, they came with the destroyers alongside of them, and man, nothing was going to stop. They were 20 deep, and they were in a straight line, and there was nothing going to stop them. And we actually talk about, those ships. Some people would say, no, that's old technology. I don't know. I don't think it's old technology when you look at those guns, but it's something we're actually considering, the concept of battleship.
They're considering very seriously the concept of battleship. the concept of battleship, it's something that we're weighing our options on. Not battleships. The concept of battleship is something they're just sort of weighing their options in the Situation Room on. Now, modern military technology would be stoppable. It would stop. That's why we stopped using them in that iteration. Okay, so all that's to be said that you might remember Madeline Dean was the Democratic Congresswoman who confronted Mike Johnson and said Trump's unhinged, he's unwell. And Mike Johnson was like, well, y'all are too, but didn't disagree, but just went, well, the left is too. And then said, it's not my style about the Hakeem Jeffries video and different things. And so she went on to CNN to kind of reflect on that and brought up, I guess she was in the room at that speech and saw what the generals were doing notes wise, which fascinated me. While you watch, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. It's free just below the video, but it supports what we do.
You just called the president unwell again. What do you mean by that?
Well, he's aging, aren't we all? I think we can very much notice that. He's a different man than he was in his first term. He's slower, he's a little more lethargic, but much more important to me is what he is saying before the world. That meeting with the generals, number one, allowing the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, to call in more than 800 military leaders from around the globe was an extraordinarily dangerous, reckless, vain thing to do on both of their parts, pulling them out from the theaters where they are working and leading. And then to stand before them, rambling about how he walks on stairs, what wars he's solved, that he doesn't like the design of battleships. Does he want them to be gold or something? Just bizarre comments that meandered. I noted that one of the generals, I'm somebody who takes a lot of notes whenever I'm in some meetings, and apparently some of the generals were trying to take notes and they just abandoned their notes because it was incoherent and very dangerous, sending a message to other world leaders that what you thought was the United States as the indispensable nation, as Madeleine Albright used to talk about, maybe is very much less so. I am gravely worried for the leadership of the United States. I want this president to succeed, but it is clear to me that he is unwell, and I think the people around him have to recognize that and go to him and admit it to him.
Picture like Barack Obama getting up in front of, and you might think, why not use Biden? Just hey, okay? Would you just hey? Because maybe he would do a little bit of, so let's use Obama. Obama, you could imagine the generals like, okay, so we're focused on China, military, okay, all right, so 27, 8, all right, good, As he's speaking, it's coherent. And so then they kind of get used to that. All right, so I'm going to try to make sure I get down what the key points of that speech was, because this is a big event. They took us from all over the world. And then picturing them sitting, and Hegseth gets on the stage. And I'm, again, since people got mad, I'm only laughing because it's so absurd, not because I think it's lighthearted. Hegseth is like, all right, the War Department, okay, so we are no longer woke department, okay, no longer... no more dudes in dresses. Literally, that's what they would have to be jotting down if they were taking notes on Hegseth's speech. And then Trump goes on, it's like, tariff, underline, beautiful word, battleships, question mark, battleship, question mark, is one of the notes. And I'm sure it made sense that eventually they were like, all right, I can't follow, there's no point of these notes. And I'm sure it looked something like me trying to take notes on Trump's math here. Let's see if I can get this pulled up.
We're seeing drug costs over the next year and a half by not 50 or 60%, by 1,000%. Because if you think a $10 pill going, so it'll be raised up from 10 to 20 because it's the world versus us. So the world is a bigger place. So it'll go from 10 to 20. It won't go from 10 to 50 or 60 for them, which is bearable. And it'll go from 10 to 20 for us.
I can't figure it out. Look. 1,000% reduction. World big. I'm trying to take notes here. World big, he said. And the world's, I guess, a pill, some drug will go from $10 to $20. He didn't even specify a currency. I don't know. We're doing rubles. Okay, dollars. So the world will go to 10 to 20. The US, still big, but smaller than the world, will go from 10 to 20, which will equal 1,000% reduction. I can't. That was, and by the way, that was genuine. I was really that time trying to figure out, did that statement of I'm going to reduce drug prices by which I'm still thinking about it. Luke, why are you bringing that up? I'm still thinking about it. Is why. That's why I'm bringing it up again. He's going to reduce drug prices by 1,000%, which would mean we would get paid for them. But then the way he's going to do that is by raising prices in the world and raising prices in the US. That's what he was saying. That's what he said. So I tried to figure it out. I couldn't do it. That's almost certainly the experience the generals were having and the admirals. Just wait. Concept of lore. L period O period R period. Is he sending a message? Lethal operations response effective. Is that what he's trying to send us, or does he just not know the word lore? Surely he knows. Surely this is kind of like a wink, wink. And then they just had to crop out the paper, according to Madeline. Madeline Dean, right? Madeline Dean, yeah, Madeline Dean. Yikes. That's today's show. Thank you all so much for watching. Talk to you next time.